Mate, did we watch a thing this week?
Yeah, we did. Hello, listeners, and thank you for joining us here on We Watched a Thing.
Hello.
I'm Topher.
I interrupted you there. I'm Billy.
If I get interrupted, people know it's you.
Oh, you dick. I've been working on that.
How's it going, do you think? Apparently.
Hey, what are you talking?
Have you had a good week of watching?
Yeah, this week I watched so many things. I got out to the movies a few times, got to Love, Simon, Isle of Dogs, I Feel Pretty, and then, of course, Unsane. What about you? Did you watch much this week?
Yeah, I got to a new documentary on Australian musician Gurrumul, which was good. So we both got to Steven Soderbergh's new film, Unsane.
We did.
The plot summary given on IMDb is this. A young woman is involuntarily committed to a mental institution where she is confronted by her greatest fear. But is it real or a product of her delusion?
Interesting.
Sounds intense.
Also, I would argue, a completely wrong description.
Really? It sounds pretty factual to me.
I don't know. We'll get there.
All right.
We'll get there. So Unsane is directed by Steven Soderbergh, as we said, written by Jonathan Bernstein and James Greer, stars Claire Foy, Joshua Leonard, Pharoah, and Juno Temple, and the film was shot entirely on an iPhone 7 Plus on a budget of $1.5 million. So far it's brought in around $11 million at the box office.
Good business if you can get it. Did you know about this film because you knew about this film of Steven Soderbergh's, or did you know that there's another phone film?
I knew about this movie, but I do feel like a lot of the marketing of late has been about, oh, this movie shot on the iPhone.
And of course, like, Steven Soderbergh operates as his own DP as a rule.
Yeah, he usually does. Yeah.
He works he has a pseudonym that he uses, but Soderbergh films are shot by Soderbergh. In this instance, on a phone.
Yeah, well, on 3 phones. 3 phones using the Filmic Pro app, which is $15 in the App Store.
There you go. Anyone who says that they can't make their movie, I don't have the means. No, what you mean is you don't have an idea.
Yeah. Right, so this isn't like the first iPhone shot film we've seen in recent years. You know, we've had Sean Baker's Tangerine. There's been a couple of others, but this is definitely, I would say, the biggest name one, being a Soderbergh film.
Yep, that's fair.
It does show how accessible filmmaking has become. And as an inspiration to any indie filmmakers out there, it does really show that you can make a film with the gear you already have in your pocket.
So Soderbergh has form in this sort of arena. Going back to early Soderbergh stuff like Sex, Lies and Videotape, he does come out of this real lo-fi sort of school.
Yeah.
And now you can, half the world's population is now in a place where they could, if they wanted to, make a movie.
It's true. I mean, even when you look at those early lo-fi films, like, for example, you look at Clerks, Kevin Smith, he still had to max out 10 credit cards to get the $28,000 to make that movie, you know, whereas these days you can walk into a phone shop and you've got a phone that can produce images good enough to show on a 10-foot theatre screen.
Now, are they good enough to show on a cinema screen?
Yeah, this is a great discussion because I feel like this film is a poster child for how great it is that you can do this while also showing why you shouldn't do this. Because
we were so busy thinking about whether we could that we didn't stop to think about whether we should.
Soderbergh finds a way. No, because it's true. If a great filmmaker like Steven Soderbergh...
It looks like crap.
It looks like shit. And apart from that, I thought the movie was shit. Did you enjoy this movie?
Middling.
Like, when I look at the comments online and stuff, the crowd is so split between half the people saying this movie's brilliant and the other half going, why the fuck are people saying this movie's brilliant? And I feel like I'm in that crowd because I did not think this was a good movie and it looked like shit.
So yeah, it looks like it was shot on an iPhone. Because it was.
And here's my problem with this. If you want to shoot a movie on an iPhone, make it a stylistic choice. Shoot it like you're using an iPhone. Make it look like voyeur footage or something to give it a different feel. To me, it's like, it's very, they haven't gone with any different kind of look from the iPhone footage.
So the lighting in the film is really minimalistic. A lot of the scenes in this are just lit with practical lights.
Yeah, which for an iPhone is shit because iPhones don't pick light up well.
Now, granted, a lot of those lights are probably changed out to be a brighter light source than a normal lamp would be.
Yeah.
But we're still talking about, when you look at the film and look at the lighting setups, it's really basic.
Yeah.
Now, the one excuse I could kind of give for why this film is made this way is, you spoke before about the kind of the voyeurism of it.
Yeah.
And that, of course, these days you can stalk using a phone. So, yeah, you could kind of come up with some tie-in there. I didn't like looking at it.
No.
But I'm trying to think about where they might have been coming from, and that's really all I've got.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard because I don't feel like there was a valid reason to shoot it on an iPhone other than to say, hey, we can do this. And like I said, that's great. To aspire any indie filmmakers out there, yeah, sure. If you have an idea for a movie and you've been thinking about, I can't afford it, you can. That doesn't mean that this movie doesn't look like a high school film student's final piece, because it does.
Yeah, it's a horrible looking movie.
Yeah, because here's the thing about the iPhone. Sure, okay, it's 4K, okay, whatever. But the iPhone doesn't have enough iris control to get good depth. It doesn't have a decent focal length lens to get a wide range of shots. It just doesn't have a big enough sensor to capture colors and light well.
And this is something that's a bugbear of mine from the camera world, is that people can throw around 4K and stuff and all the pixels they want.
Yes.
If it's being captured on a tiny little sensor, it doesn't mean it will look good.
And as a cameraman, I'm sure you get this all the time where people are like, well, your job doesn't exist anymore. Like, what? You don't need cameramen because everyone has an iPhone.
You can look back at other Soderbergh projects. Ocean's 11 is a good looking movie.
Yeah.
So it's not like Soderbergh isn't a good DP. He is. And so actually, I think this is brilliant. I can point at this movie and go, this is a guy with the same skill set, and this is what it looks like if you do it on a phone.
But you know what? This is my problem. I don't know whether to blame the phone or not, but I found the cinematography in this movie so lackluster and bland. I don't know if it's like because of the focal length of the lens, but I found this movie was riddled with mid-shots. Everything's in this weird kind of mid-shot space with a lot of headroom. The framing I found very inconsistent and all over the shop, regardless of the camera that was used.
So, to the film. Stars Claire Foy, who's really good.
Claire Foy's good. The acting, I thought, in this movie was decent for the most part. I really liked Claire Foy. I really liked Jay Pharoah from SNL. This is the first time I've seen him in a, I guess you could argue, serious role, and I enjoyed him.
I really liked Nurse Bowles.
Yeah, okay.
I thought she was going to be more of a kind of central villain, like she was going to be Nurse Ratched. Yeah. Essentially, was what I thought was going to happen. I'm kind of bummed we didn't get more of her because I actually really liked her.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the character, but to me, the acting for a lot of those side just really lent into this feeling like a student film. I found that a lot of the acting was very kind of wooden and stilted and didn't feel like professional actors. It literally felt like something you would watch a high school student put together.
To me, it actually seemed like someone being a nurse rather than acting a nurse.
Yeah, okay.
Like she was reasonably disinterested and stuff because it's her job and she's pretty disinterested.
Yeah. What did you think of the wild Matt Damon appearance?
I wasn't into it.
It was very strange and out of place.
Damon's like becoming the king of the stunt casting. Like in Interstellar, Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
It's
bizarre.
Things where Damon just pops up. And it's just weird that in this, you're watching this totally lo-fi micro budget thing to then have a movie star. Like, okay, yeah, sure, we all know who Claire Foy is, but like I haven't actually seen The Crown. This is the first thing I've actually seen her in. I know who Claire Foy is, whereas Matt Damon is a movie star. And when he pops up in something like this, it's
jarring. It's really strange. It's really strange. I mean, and on the casting, why do the stalkers always have to look like me? I found it really hard to get into this movie at first because I was just like, it's just like looking in a big, fat, airy, stalky mirror. But I actually quite enjoyed that guy.
I thought he was pretty good. That was Joshua Leonard.
Yeah.
Who was in the Blair Witch Project, I think.
Oh, yeah. Geez, that's going back.
Yeah. So one of the things, if you thought we were done with how this film was shot, sorry, because so much of the film is shot with the really wide lens that is standard on a phone, it makes the film not at all observational. Like you're not sitting in a stalker's point of view at all. It's much more about putting you in Sawyer's, that's Claire Foy's character. It's more about putting you in her experience. So I think it is done it still has a purpose. That's a specific choice, I think, to have it be in her experience. And she makes that work, I think. Having acting with a camera 12 inches from your face, I wouldn't have thought is that easy. And I think Claire Foy is good.
Honestly, to me, her and Jay Pharoah saved this movie, and I use the word saved liberally.
Wasn't exactly shock of the century, was it, when you find out the minor twist about Jay Pharoah's character, is it?
Well, this is my issue with the film, is that I don't think there's any shock in any of this movie. My argument with that, the IMDb description of this film, is that that's not what this movie is at all. And that's what I was hoping it would be. I thought this was going to be a psychological horror kind of thriller where we're trying to work out, is this stalker actually in the hospital or not, or what's going on here?
And I think
and that's just not there. Because
I think it held to a point.
It's established so early on that, this is her stalker. He's really there. And he had nothing to do with her being brought into the hospital. It's not like he, set this trap for her so that she was trapped there. He just happens to get a job there after she's there. Like, to me, there was no interest in any of the plot points of this film.
Must have already had the job.
He must have. How?
Which is then completely unbelievable.
But because he killed the guy who had the job. They find his body in the woods later on.
But surely with the timeline, he must have done that before she checked herself in.
Because it's a quick timeline. She's only in there a day before he turns up.
So this guy's master plan, I didn't find that believable. There is a period of the film where it hangs on to this, where it does play out, as you were saying. Is it delusional? And that's not, she's just projecting this onto this guy, or is that her stalker? And that's not a big section of the film, but it does hang on for a little bit, and it is probably the most interesting part of the film.
Definitely.
I'd say.
Once you find out he's really there, to me, the whole movie just
and it doesn't go kind of back and forth at all. It's like, okay, actually, no, we've got there's enough evidence here to tell us, no, that is her stalker.
It happens very, very quickly.
There isn't an interesting dynamic between them.
I mean, to
me,
I don't know what I'm supposed to find interesting in this film, because it just very quickly becomes a story about a stalker following this woman. And it's not like there's this kind of Hannibal Lecter, Clarice kind of
exactly what I was
relationship between them. There's nothing. It's just I just don't know what I'm meant to be seeing here.
Towards the end of the film, it kind of just dives into schlocky horror,
which is very much played up in those end credits. And you know what? I feel like if that was the approach from the start of the film, I would have liked it a lot better. If they just really lent into that the entire way and just made it, yep, this is schlock, this is a throwback to those old 70s horror movies, I would have been like, yep, okay, I can get into this. But that's not what they did. How do you feel about the choice to present the film in 4:3 aspect ratio?
I don't like it. It's a nasty looking movie.
Yeah.
Okay, it's meant to be a nasty looking movie. And if that works for some viewers, okay, good.
But you know what? If it's meant to be a nasty looking movie, make it look nasty. Don't film it in the same techniques that we're filming with proper cameras. Like, use the iPhone handheld. Turn it vertical for all I care.
Don't do that.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
Don't.
If you're filming on a phone and it's meant to look like you're filming on a phone, do it. Film it like an idiot.
Friends don't let friends film vertical.
I'm against vertical video as much as the next person.
Apparently not, because I'm the next guy.
But to me, if that's the stylistic choice you're making, then just lean into it and do it all the way. Don't put a gimbal on the phone as if it's a steady cam. Don't put it on a tripod like it's just a regular camera. Use it like a phone. Like, at least make it have a purpose.
I think even those handheld things you can get phones that aren't a gimbal,
like a selfie stick kind of thing.
Essentially, that makes more sense to me. Like, if you're going to do it. Go full Blair Witch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, to really good effect. Like, not a great movie, but did you see Unfriended?
No.
So the concept behind that is that these kids and the horrors all happening online and whatnot, but the entire thing is done through screen capture on a laptop, and the movie is filmed through Skype and stuff. So, but they've actually lent into that and used it. You know, like, people close their laptop lids and their screen goes black, or they walk around the house with their laptop and it's shaky and stuff, because that's a stylistic choice. To me, this didn't have any style to it that seemed to be a conscious decision. And what about the night for day shots?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's another thing to me. It's like, why set any of the movie at night? If you know that that's what you're going to be filming on, there's no need for those scenes to be set at night.
Right. It's the first shot of the movie.
Yeah.
It's this blue wash.
And then the entire kind of climax of the movie, which, again, if they'd gone for that kind of schlock from the start, I could have forgiven it, just this bright blue wash, but as it was just so jarring and out of place.
Yeah. Maybe average someone doesn't notice. I don't know.
And that's my thing. Sitting there the whole time, I'm thinking, you know what? Other people probably don't care about
this. That's right.
Other people aren't looking at the aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I was sitting there with a lot of shots just kind of tearing it to pieces in my head, going, actually, no one else in this theatre cares. So half of what we've spoken about...
other people aren't going to give a shit.
Aren't going to care.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe then undoubtedly, the film will work for some audiences.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, looking online, there's plenty of people who are loving the movie. It just clearly wasn't made for me. I did enjoy the score by Thomas Newman in this movie. I thought that the music actually did add something.
The last scene of the film, where...
In the diner?
The
very last
where
scene?
Sawyer's kind of gotten back to her life.
That's when we get that really schlocky freeze frame for the credits.
Shot. Oh,
but to me, it's like, no, I don't need to revisit this. We've established that she's not crazy.
Well, no, we know that Sawyer is, like, she does have a pretty serious moment early on in the film where she's gone home with a guy. Like, so the question, which does actually serve the film, because then you're like, okay, well, I already know that Sawyer is sick, so that might not be her stalker. But yeah, just fob the last scene off.
Yeah, definitely.
It's no good.
I mean, what were your thoughts on the entire last act of this film where she's in solitary confinement and her stalker is visiting her?
It's really uninteresting. You would hope, if someone told you gave you a synopsis of this film and kind of stepped you through how the film was going to play out, that's what you'd hope would be the best scene or scenes in the film.
Yeah, definitely.
And as you said, and as I was thinking, watching it with Clarice and Hannibal, except they're in the same cell.
Yeah.
Can you get can you get a really good dynamic happening between them? Turns out no.
Could you? I think you might have been able to if it was written better.
Yeah, sorry, did they?
But yeah, it's not written very well and it's not acted very well. You know, I like Claire Foy and I thought, like I said, she saved this movie because she is very personable. But I could walk into a local high school, throw a rock at a kid, and I feel like he could make a better movie than this. I know that sounds harsh. I've liked a lot of Steven Soderbergh's work, but this just didn't land for me at all.
And unfortunately, I think you've lost some empathy for Sawyer by the end of the film because she keeps punching people.
She's really mean to people.
She is.
Like even Jay Pharoah. Like she's just really mean to everyone.
Punches a heap of people.
Oh, so many people. This movie just seemed like it had too many things going on and yet none of them were interesting. Like we have this whole subplot of mental institutions luring patients in because of their insurance money. That was just strange to me. I just didn't.
Which I was suspecting that Jay Pharoah was a journalist, but you don't know for sure. So
the first time you see him on his phone, he's talking to someone about a story. He's like, "Yeah, the story's nearly done," and I'm like, "Are we supposed to?"
But that could be him being a sick person who has conspiracy theories and this kind of thing. So there was an out for it if they wanted.
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
But that's where I would have liked the story to have gone more, to really question her sanity. You know, is she seeing her stalker's face around when he's not actually there? But all those questions that could have been interesting are just answered so early on.
Yeah, I agree. That's absolutely the most interesting stuff in the film, and it's done away with so quickly.
Yeah, and from there, it's just, like I said, this kind of story where I'm like, what am I meant to be watching here?
Yeah, it just descends into this schlocky horror thing that looks like crap.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! What are you doing after you finish this great podcast you're listening to?
Well, whatever it is, you're going to blow that off and listen to the IMDb Journey podcast instead, hosted by Daniel, that's me.
And Dean, that's me. Join us on our journey as we tackle the IMDb Top 250 list, breaking down one movie a week, giving our own rankings as we go, as well as our incredibly intelligent and insightful thoughts too.
We also throw in a random quiz or movie battle every once in a while and have a punt on it, because us Aussies, we love a good punt.
Daniel, this is a G-rated promo. You can't say that.
I said punt, Dean. Punt. You dickhead. So come join us on the journey by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or any other podcast apps, and follow us on Twitter at IMDb Journey.
And now back to your regular scheduled programming.
Look, so all in all, it's pretty obvious I didn't like it. To me, this is on par for me with like Insidious Chapter 4 and Pacific Rim 2. This is down there. I am not going to recommend that people see this movie. And that's hard for me to say because, as you know, on this show, we're always like, I love interesting things being done. Sure, this movie tried something interesting, but it didn't work. Would you agree with that? Or
it's not something I would recommend to I'm trying to think, do I know someone who I'd be like, actually, you might really dig Unsane?
To me, even horror fans, I'm not going to recommend it.
I don't think I dislike it as much as you. I like Claire Foy in it. There is a segment of the film that I like, despite the fact that it looks like crap.
So tell me about this. Which segment of the film would you say you enjoyed?
From the time she first goes to the hospital until it's just clear to us that, yes, in fact, that is her stalker. And yeah, I'm not saying this section of the film, I'm not saying it lasts a long time.
Yeah.
But there is a section of the film for me where they do let it play out with the, is he or isn't he?
Yeah.
It's not a long time, but it's there. So yeah, I'm trying to find things.
Yeah, that's the thing. To me, I guess the biggest crime of this movie is how good it could have been. Like, I think there are so many things that could have been done better with not even a huge amount of tweaking. You know, like there are some movies, like you look at Pacific Rim 2, I don't think there are that many changes you could make to that movie that would make it great. But with this, I feel with just a few changes, it could have been great, and instead, it's one of my worst of the year.
Even within Soderbergh's filmography, like Side Effects, I didn't think was a particularly good movie, but it's fine. And there's some kind of crossover thematically with this. If you want to see a Soderbergh film that sounds like the film we've described at all, just watch Side Effects.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it does have Channing Tatum in it, which I know is a pretty good reason not to watch a movie, but it's still better. It's better than Unsane. And actually, you can do a fun little stepping stone thingy with these films, because Side Effects has Rooney Mara in it, who in the next film based on Stieg Larsson's novels has been replaced by Claire Foy as Elizabeth Salander.
No shit, they replaced her.
Yeah, because it's essentially a reboot. The next one.
Yeah,
because the next one they're doing is The Girl in the Spider's Web, which wasn't written by Stieg Larsson. After he died, someone just picked up his characters and continued on with it.
So why are they going to that? Haven't they only done Dragon Tattoo? Aren't there 2 more Stieg Larsson ones?
Yeah, but they're not happening.
Well, that seems strange.
And really sad for me, because I was actually totally into Go with the Dragon Tattoo, and I was like, Fincher gets to make an R-rated trilogy. Yeah, come at me. This is great news. And that's not happening.
That's sad. I hate when trilogies start and don't end. John Carter all over again. One of the biggest crimes of all time is that we won't get the sequels to John Carter. Why are you laughing?
Because no one else knows that you've had this 2-day running battle with my sister saying you need to watch John Carter because it's a masterpiece.
John Carter is one of my all-time favorite films. Honestly, if you're listening, go watch John Carter right now.
Don't set your expectations too high.
No, set them higher than you can even imagine.
Don't do that.
Because it's such a good
Don't do that.
No, do it. Do it.
But there's an hour and a half of Tim Riggins, so...
I think it's closer to 2 hours, mate.
Oh, well, yeah, but there's a bunch of Tim Riggins.
Yeah.
So who's not going to like it, honestly? Hashtag Panther for life.
So, all in all for me, I'm giving this a 2.
2. Brutal. It's scraped together enough positive things for me to give it a 4, but it's clearly not on the We Watched a Thing recommendations list.
Yeah, no, it won't be.
What did you give Insidious: The Last Key?
A 4. In fact, these are
so we've
reversed.
Yeah, we've so collectively we like this as much as The Last Key, which is not what you want to hear about a movie.
No, I would honestly go see The Last Key 6 more times before I watch this again.
I would not.
In fact, a couple of weeks ago, they were advertising that they were bringing it back to cinemas for Friday the 13th with extended scenes. And I was like, you know what? I might do that.
Yeah, normally the key to making something that I rated a 2 good is to put in the stuff that wasn't even good enough to make the cut. Yeah, that sounded outstanding. I wonder if there's a bunch of deleted footage from Unsane that's awesome. I mean, as a rule, I don't think you want to go through an iPhone and look at
that's
random pictures and footage.
Can you imagine like the dailies for this movie? Like Steven Soderbergh handing his phone over to the editor and just, don't swipe left.
Do we know what we're watching next week? There's nothing coming out, is there?
So next week, we got a break for new releases. There's nothing on out, so we're going back to a classic, which is where one of us introduces a film that, the other one hasn't seen to the other person. I really hate when it's your choice, because this is when you just use it as an excuse to make me look bad, like I haven't seen a hashtag classic.
But you haven't seen it.
Because you'll no doubt choose something from the top 250 list. So what are we doing? What are you embarrassing me with this time?
See, I don't think this was so much my choice. I think you kind of said, all right, this needs to happen.
All right, what are we watching?
You're saying that I'm trying to embarrass you. This was really your choice. So, speaking of IMDb's top 250 list, Billy hasn't seen number 1.
I haven't seen The Shawshank Redemption.
I haven't watched Shawshank in a long time, actually. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us. We've loved chatting with you all.
Even if we didn't love the movie.
No, and don't see it. I mean, if you watched it this week just to listen to our episode, because we mentioned last week we were watching it, I'm really sorry. If you did like it, email us and let us know, because we love hearing different opinions and we love hearing from all of our listeners. Thank you to everybody who messaged us about the Infinity War Arrested Development crossover, by the way. We got a whole bunch of responses of people pointing out to us. Do you know what it was? In the collector's room, Tobias is there in his full blue with his cut-off shorts.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So that was fair. So thank you to everybody who messaged that into us. Please tell a friend about the show if you enjoy it. We're on all of the podcatchers, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. If you're using an Android phone, I recommend Podcast Republic app, which is great. Leave us a review. Really helps us grow. So if you want to get in contact with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or at wewatchedathing@gmail.com, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. I blanked on Instagram for a moment.
It's a thing. The kids are doing it.
And Twitter @wewatchedathing. Thanks for joining us.
Happy movie watching.
Bye.